Welcome to the Comic Book Theorist, and this is your boy Leo, the Comic Book Theorist. And in this what if scenario, we're going to be talking about what if Deadshot became a good guy. And before we actually do go into the what if story, let's break down the background information, basically where this takes place, when this takes place. So in this case, this takes place in the DC extended universe, basically where all the movies going on in. And this is going to be the Will Smith version of Deadshot from Suicide Squad. And this takes place after the movie Suicide Squad. So in this case, guys, I'm going to give you a quick description of who Deadshot is. This is coming from Wikipedia, by the way, so I'm going to read this real quick so you guys have a better understanding who he is if you don't know by now. His name is Floyd Mayweather and became the most hated boxing champion in the world, where he went toe-to-toe with Manny Pacquiao and many other greats. Now I'm playing. That's not who he is. His real name, though, is Floyd Lawton, and he grew up with his mother, abusive father, and beloved brother, whom he idolized. On one occasion, Lawton's father attacked his brother, prompting the young Deadshot to attempt to end his father's reign of terror on the family with his own rifle. However, the branch of the tree that was nearby them had struck them and it broke off, and in the end it actually caused Deadshot to misfire, causing the bullet to hit his brother instead, and it in the end killed him. The psychological effects of this event are widely seen as the reasoning behind Deadshot's affinity for surrogate brothers, his now almost impeccable aim, his disregard for his own life, and his inability to kill Batman. So in this case, guys, so hopefully you guys learned something from this, which is basically that I can't read for shit, but you guys have an idea of who Deadshot is and a little bit of his psychology, I guess, in a way. But in this case, let's go right into the what if scenario and let's see what happens in this story. And by the way, DC Comics, DC Entertainment, if you want, you can definitely take this idea or even contact me. I'll be more than happy to help you guys out, even write for some of your comics. Just saying. And besides that, let's get right into the story. So in this case, right after the events of Suicide Squad, Deadshot actually leaves August's prison thanks to the help of Batman and some help from Rick Flag as well, as they basically pulled some strings and was able to force him in the Waller to let him go. This is just a hypothetical situation. I can go into the details, but this is short. I'm trying to make this video short. I'm not going to make it long. But anyways, let's move on with the story. And in the end, once he leaves, he contemplates about his life and his daughter's life as to what he's going to do, because he doesn't want the whole thing that happened with him in the past to happen again with his daughter. Which, side note, basically he was killing people and Batman came in while he was walking with his daughter and he basically arrested Deadshot in front of his daughter, and you know, it was on Christmas Day. Impeccable daddy figure right there. So in this case, this time around, Deadshot decides to be a good role model for his daughter and basically try to be someone his daughter can look up to. And the reason why is because his daughter is the first person in his life since his brother that believed in him, that actually cared for him and really trusted him. And that basically really resonates with Deadshot, and he wants to do good with it, and it basically encourages him or really empowers him to go beyond of everything he's done before and be a better person in the end. So right after he left prison and he decides to visit his daughter, and he goes to her neighborhood. While going there, he notices that the neighborhood that his daughter lives in is very dirty, has a lot of drug dealers, a lot of street thugs everywhere, and this kind of really upsets Deadshot. He's asking why is his little angel in such a bad environment, and in the end he decides, you know what, he's going to clean the streets, take out anybody that's a criminal, and makes the life of his daughter a lot simple, a lot easier, and a lot more bright, and not be in such a negative environment. So in this case, he starts going after street thugs and drug dealers in the neighborhood to get them off the street. And also during one night, he decides to go after his baby mothers to try to basically spook her, to try to change her life around and knock some sense into her, since at this time she's very throwback. She doesn't really take care of her daughter takes care of her, and she's not really being a good role model, and this kind of upsets Deadshot. But in the end, he does spook her into changing her life around as she starts looking for a job and starts cooking around the house and starts taking care of her daughter more. And also in his neighborhood, he does come across a crooked cop, where in this case he actually makes a deal with this crooked cop, where instead of him taking out the crooked cop, he's gonna use this crooked cop to hand over all of the criminals that he captures, all the street dogs and drug dealers, so that the cop can just take them to jail and push all the papers to the right places, more or less, so that they can stay in jail. So in this case, Deadshot is trying to start a positive life and try to start a life without crime. He needs to make some money, where in the end he decides to work at a Big Belly Burger, where in this case he works there and he just has more or less a hard time because he has people who's heckling him to get the right things in their burger. He has an old lady just yelling at him to get the goddamn pickles out of his ketchup and out of her tomato from the burger, and he just sighs and he just says whatever. And as he works in the Big Belly Burger, he notices a lot of things are happening around the actual restaurant. For example, he sees a kid is being abused by his father, who basically humiliates him in front of everybody, and this really gets him upset since it does remind him about his father when he was young and what his father used to do to him and his brother. So in this case, dressed as Deadshot, he actually confronts the father, and he basically really straightens him out and he spooks him, making sure that he doesn't touch his son again, and becomes a more positive role model, because next time he sees him, he's gonna shoot him right between his eyes. Also, he gives the father a Big Belly Burger to give to his son to try to start the relationship on a positive note. And in this case, as he leaves, he is confronted by Batman, who reveals himself as Batman's been watching him since he left prison to keep an eye on him to make sure he doesn't go back to his old ways. And in this case, Deadshot is more or less understanding. He can understand why Batman will keep an eye on him. It is uncomfortable, but he respects his decision. But he assures Batman he's not going to go back to that life. So in this case, Batman leaves and Deadshot goes back to his regular life. Or in this case, as he's walking home as dressed up as Deadshot, he actually is stopped by an old lady who basically forces him to actually take her bags to her house since she's old and she can't do it by herself. And besides, that's the right thing to do, right? A superhero has to help out the little lady across the street and stuff like that. If not, she's gonna fuck him up. But in the end, Deadshot helps her out because he knows he'll probably get messed up by this lady, and he walks her home with the bags and takes her there. And in this case, he becomes a positive role model. So in this case, while they're walking home, they're basically stopped by cops who see Deadshot dressed up as Deadshot, and they basically heckle him, saying what he's doing here, he looks ridiculous, and you know what, how about you give me some money on the side, that way we can just let you go and have a nice night, because if not, we're gonna make your life a very difficult night. Deadshot is very upset because of this, and he decides to try to confront them and fight them off, but he's actually stopped by the old lady, who tells him to relax and to back off, and she whips out an electric taser and just tasers the two cops, and Deadshot is just simply surprised, like what the hell, and the old lady just looks back at him nice and quietly and just whispers to him, this would have been you if you didn't take my bags. But in this case, Deadshot is surprised. They actually walk home while the cops are on the floor passed out from the taser, and Deadshot is actually a little bit more open to the old lady as he sees she's a pretty big ass gangster taking out electric lasers and all that. But in this case, he drops it off and he goes home. So in this case, he meets up with his daughter the next day, and his daughter actually tells him that she just joined the girls basketball team and wants him to make sure that he actually attends her very first game. So in this case, Deadshot makes sure that he does go to her first game, and on the night of the first game, he starts walking towards the school, but he does come across a mugging where he sees people getting robbed, and he decides to ignore it because again, he wants to be there at the school of his daughter. He wants to see her first game and be a positive role model. And also, he only is really looking out for his daughter. He just wants to make sure his daughter is okay, because everything else doesn't really matter to him. He just wants to make sure his daughter is safe, is taken care of, because he doesn't see anybody else is doing it, so he's gonna do it himself. So he gets to the game, he enjoys his time as he sees his daughter is just dropping hoops left and right. She got aim that's just impeccable, like oh la la. But in the end, she loses because her team sucks, but she was the MVP because she has those skills that in this case Deadshot taught her in terms of aiming and precision and all that good stuff. And in this case, while Deadshot walks his daughter home, they actually bypass again the place of the mugging that Deadshot saw earlier, and he sees there's a lot of cops there, there's an ambulance, and he notices that basically the mugging resulted in a mother getting gravely injured and she needs to be taken to a hospital, while there's a boy there just crying and upset and just furious as to what happened. So in this case, Deadshot's daughter actually comments to Deadshot, telling her that sometimes she wishes that her neighborhood was filled with good people, people that look out for each other, people that care for each other, and there was just simple good people in this world. But only there's this senseless violence, senseless crime, robbing, killing, and she's really sad about the idea. And in this case, Deadshot tries to comfort his daughter, explain to her that he's a good person and he's here for her, so she doesn't have to worry about those kind of things. But in this case, Deadshot's daughter actually declines what he says, or denies what he says, saying that it's not just her that needs this. She's talking about everybody else, as she points out to the boy who's crying, saying that she wishes there was people for everyone, because a life like this isn't easy and things need to change. And in this case, that's when Deadshot is just speechless. He doesn't really know how to respond to that because he was only focused on taking care of his daughter. He didn't really care about anything else. But now that his daughter actually reminded him or brought it up to his attention, he actually starts contemplating or thinking about the whole thing, and it reminds him of him and his brother and the life they had and the abusive father and the environment that they lived in. And while he's seeing this, he notices the boy's just covered in bruises, he's covered in blood and dust, and he's just badly messed up because you could tell he tried to protect his mother, but he wasn't good enough and nobody was there to protect her or him, because Deadshot basically just didn't care about them and he just walked by. So in this case, the mother is soon taken away to the emergency room while the son is taken taken to her also. So in this case, later that night, Deadshot is taking out some more street thugs and some more drug dealers as he hands them over to the crooked cop. And while he's handing them over, he asks the crooked cop about the mother and what's going to happen with them. And the crooked cop, who is chuckling more or less, he explains to Deadshot the fact that basically they're very poor. They can't really cover these medical bills, and most likely the hospital is going to kick them out the moment they get the chance, and most likely she's not going to be properly treated, and it's a good chance she's not going to live for long with all the injuries she sustained and the fact that she's not going to be in the hospital for very long to be taken care of. So later that night, Deadshot decides to visit the hospital to see the mother and the son to see how they're doing, but then he, after a little bit of investigating, he realizes that the hospital is planning to kick the mother out the next day since they can't really cover any medical bills, and also he overhears the fact that the son actually escaped or ran away. So in this case, this prompts Deadshot to start looking for the son to see where he is and what's happening. So somewhere else throughout the city or town, there's a whole bunch of thugs and criminals who gather together as they talk about the fact that for the last couple of weeks, a lot of them has been being taken out, and there's a lot of drug dealers being taken out as well. And they notice the fact that all of these people that are being captured or arrested are from the same crooked cop as he's taking them all into the prison cell. So as they continue talking about this and they start connecting the dots more or less here and there, they notice that there's a kid in front of them holding a gun, and this is the same kid from earlier who is just covered in bruises and bleeding, and he's basically the victim of the mugging from earlier. So in this case, while the kid is holding the gun, Deadshot actually sneaks in because he's able to track him down, and the way he does it, I'm not going to explain here because that's just getting more into details, and this is just a broad, short what-if story. But in this case, he watches the kid because he was going to go in and take him out, but he notices the kid is talking, and he notices that this kid reminds him a lot of himself when he was a kid. And basically the kid is aiming the gun at the criminals or the street thugs, and the street thugs, they just laugh saying, oh, this is the kid that we beat up earlier this night and we robbed his mother. Damn, we should have done a lot more to his mother. Like she got off way too easy, and this kid looks like he didn't learn his lesson. And they're just basically making fun of the kid and just laughing at him as he's holding the gun and he's shaking in rage and fear and confusion as to why all this is happening to him. And out of nowhere, one of the criminals or street thugs, they just whip out a gun and starts aiming it at the kid, saying, if you're gonna use that gun, use it. Not he's about to get popped. And in this case, this kid is terrified and just shaking, but he's extremely angry as he yells at them, telling them to give him back what they stole earlier this night. And out of nowhere, Deadshot shoots the gun out of the kid's hand and also out of the thug's hand as well as he intervenes within this altercation. So in this case, Deadshot tells the kid to fall back, that he's going to take care of the whole situation, and he basically tells the thugs that they're going to wish that they never did anything they did tonight, and they're going to regret it for the rest of their life. And he basically starts aiming at them, but at that moment he remembers what his daughter told him the night that Batman arrested him, saying that she doesn't want him to kill, she doesn't want him to be this criminal, this bad person. And this makes Deadshot hesitant, and he kind of changes his strategy or his mindset. And soon a shootout occurs where basically Deadshot takes out all of the thugs' guns from their hands, shooting them out, and then he starts shooting them at their limb to try to at least stop them from moving around as a way to avoid from killing them. And in this case, while all this is happening and he's taking them out, there is one more thug that is hiding from Deadshot, preparing to try to catch him off guard and take him out. But then as the thug prepares to shoot Deadshot from a blind spot, a gun is just goes off, and it's not from the thug, but instead it's from the kid as he picked up the gun to try to help Deadshot to take out this thug who was hiding, but by mistake shot Deadshot in the back, or not in the spine, but he gave him a big ass flesh wound, just to give you an idea. And the kid just drops the gun. He's nervous, he's begging Deadshot to forgive him. He didn't mean to hurt him, he was just trying to help him. And Deadshot takes out the thug before he can shoot, and he looks at the kid crying and just begging for forgiveness, as this reminds of himself when he accidentally shot his brother when he was a kid. And while this is happening, he just thinks to himself that this is way too ironic and like too much nostalgia just coming back, unwanted nostalgia for that matter. But in this case, Deadshot patches himself up and tells the kid to not worry, and he also tells them that when the cops get here, tell them that he was kidnapped by the thugs and that it's all their fault, basically. As the cops arrive, Deadshot notices a bag of money that the criminals had in their possession, where he takes this money and goes away with the money in hand. And the cops arrive, arrest the thugs, and the kid is taken into the hospital once again to see his mother, since she is waking up again. But in this case, the son, he doesn't actually see her mother till the next day. day, but that's what happens later on, just to clarify that. So in this case, the next morning, the hospital tries to kick out the mother since she can't really pay for her bills, and that's when Deadshot arrives, and he basically presents to the hospital, to the doctors, that he's just passing by and he just wants to let the mother know that he paid all of her bills to just rest up and don't worry about anything. And he also looks at the doctors, telling them that they better take care of her, and if there's any complications or anything like that, he's gonna come back for them. And in this case, as Deadshot leaves, he actually bumps into the boy from last night, as the boy thanks him because he recognizes that Floyd Naughton is Deadshot based on the voice, and also top of that, the wound that he's covering where he got shot last night. So in this case, Deadshot tries to play it off and act like it's not him, but as he leaves, he whispers to the kids, telling them that next time try to aim better or try to practice your aiming, that way he doesn't get shot. And in this case, he goes back to working at the Big Belly Burger by day, and by night he is Deadshot, the greatest marksman in the world who carries old ladies' bags home. The end. So in this case, guys, that is my what if situation, and in this case, let me just explain some choices and the reason behind them that was made by characters. So in this case, up to this point, Deadshot only cared about himself and then his daughter when she came to his life, and that's about it. And all this is because of what happened when he was a kid and growing up and seeing the people and how they were and what they would pay him to do, basically take out people here and there for their own selfish needs. But throughout the story, in this case, he kind of realizes people do care. They do care about one another. They do protect one another. And in this case, he needs to change also, because if that's the case, why can't he protect people when they try to protect him if a situation ever does come up? Also, besides that, Deadshot's daughter basically shows Deadshot that to be a good role model, he can't just only help his daughter while everyone around him just simply drowns. And as the quote says, by helping others, you will learn how to help yourselves. And this is from Aung San Suu Kyi. I probably said that wrong. But in this case, guys, this is only a hypothetical situation where this can be one possible outcome of many. And if you believe there would be a different scenario, let me know in the comments below. And if you have any suggestions for future what if videos, comment down below as well. Also, please share, like, and subscribe, as I'll be bringing you guys more videos in the future. And until next time, this is the Comic Book Theorist. Deuces.